What was ruined by rich people? The price of housing, either renting or owning, it's insane. Worldwide, the real estate speculators and multi-billion-dollar investment firms, real estate groups owned by billionaires, driving everyone out until there is only renters that pay half their income to rent, is much better than having the government do the same thing, while only making it 10% of income. Don't forget it either, you damn communist. To grow a world economy where population doesn't, you print money using commercial banks by issuing loans for mortgages. Where population growth does occur, the price of housing explodes from more people competing for the same space. The view that housing is an investment has priced people out of home ownership, and rents are extortionate as to ensure landlords maintain a sufficient ROI. Having a roof over your head should be a basic human right. Being a landlord isn't a real job. There used to be a really nice big park in the center of the city where I live. Everyone would go there. It was a nice open space. Take your kids, take your dogs, enjoy the fresh air. Then some people from the rich part of town along the edges of the park decided they didn't like the noise coming from the park and pulled some bull to buy it out and walled it off so you couldn't go to the park unless you lived in that specific neighborhood anymore. The worst part is a ton of money was spent when they first bought it, building it up, adding fountains and children's play areas and redoing the flower beds, and then no money or attention was given to it again, and the whole place fell into disrepair. So now, even if you live in the neighborhood, you can't go there because everything is falling apart and overgrown. So the holes took the really nice park from everyone else and then neglected it until it became a hole in the middle of the city. I believe it. That's what all the FEs are. Some of the FEs for like arenas and stadiums does go for the staff having to set everything up and the workers setting stage up, but in general, I do believe the artist and their team get a cut, or the FEs. The artists aren't coming out and saying it. That's why I'm Team Faft Taylor Swift, and will stand on that hill cause she can afford to go against them at this point in her career, but she didn't have the smoke for them during all the other tours and shows she did up until now. If you purposely breed a rabid, immensely large dedicated fandom that's a few notches down from BTS K-pop fandom dedication, what the faff do you expect? She wants all the idol worship for all these records she breaks, and she wants a Ticketmaster crash, but she doesn't want the blowback, and knows she has to make her fans happy, so she paints them as the villain. If Michael Jackson was alive and young today doing the Bad Tour, the exact same thing would happen. It would auto-crash for a week straight, and all tickets would be sold out, 1-2 days tops. I'm sure if MJ was alive to experience this he would apologize, but would never go against Ticketmaster. I just know that for a fact. Ticketmaster doing what they agreed to do with the artists. Artists who can't afford to speak out or be fake outraged do against them. Taylor, the only one, cause she's rich enough now to not need them. To be fair, rich people didn't create this problem. Rich people are the only ones left that can afford tickets. Ticketmaster, who owns most of the venues and the entire ticketing process, created a lot of the problem. They keep pushing up the prices because they own nearly the entire supply chain for tickets. The artist also carries significant blame. I know someone fairly high up at Ticketmaster. She will tell you that the artists that most publicly complain about Ticketmaster are the ones driving high ticket prices behind closed doors. Yes, Ticketmaster FEs are scandalous, but the artist has significant involvement in the pricing scheme. It's not the fault of the rich that they are the only ones that can afford tickets. Blame Ticketmaster and the artist. In my country, rich people is definitely the bigger piece of the puzzle. There's rich people that can afford to pay whatever to see a concert. Then there's rich people who didn't even buy the tickets. They got it by knowing a such and such. It's mostly K-pop concerts too, that people complained about expensive tickets, yet they buy a VIP ticket anyways, and it always sold out. I hate it that it sold out so much. It means that it will get even worse. I always felt the artist was partially behind this. I mentioned above you that Taylor Swift is fake as hell for her outrage cause. I bet you she pocketing it from it. She just goes against them publicly cause she's not in the starting stages of her career, or on the cusp of making it like many others are to be speaking out. She's like at Beyoncé level, or surpassing Beyoncé ticket sales, and numbers-wise, so she can afford to play villain. I know this cause if you use Ticketmaster often like I do. The extra fees in each category aside from the seat price is different for different type of shows. Sports wrestling, concerts, opera shows, or plays etc. The prices are not fixed usually even if it's at the same venue, and they all vary in pricing. It's common sense at this point. Looking back at concerts that I've been to since COVID, I've actually been more surprised at the price difference than the prices themselves. Of course stuff like Coldplay and Taylor Swift is super expensive, but I'm shocked that the medium-sized metal bands, and even Thundercat were 1/10 the price of the big shows. It's nice to be able to go see Carly Rae Jepsen, Leprous, Explosions in the Sky, etc. for $25 in my town. I think this is why rock pretty much died. Not only did the radio go to so people don't rock out to or sing the same songs anymore, but even afford to see something you and your friends can sing along with, you have to basically be a middle-aged middle-class suburban toolbag whose friends are all busy with their kids anyway. None of my favorite vocalists seem like people who had thousands of dollars to spend on a concert back when they wrote the music I like. They were relatable. Now, they are not. But they're still playing the poor kid music as rich old men for other rich old people. Nothing feels relatable anymore, it just feels like money-making bull, and people singing about the same three feelings in mildly different ways. I'm so cool, tough and rich, is hot, and part-time everybody. I understand concert tickets going up cause the music economy flipped. The concerts used to be advertising to buy the CD, now the music is free. And the artists only make real money from the concerts, so they've invested in the production value of the concerts to try and attract attendees. But making booze cost that much is a crime. I don't even think the artist makes any money off it, that's probably all going to the venue. Back in the 90s, my family moved into a development in a mountain town. The road wasn't even paved when we started building the house. For most of my formative years, it was great. There were bike paths through the woods, and some bridges over the lakes, a gas station with a Thai pizza place, lakes you couldn't swim in or use motorboats on, and there would be block parties every summer. It was a middle-class development with some upper and lower middle class as well. Then the houses started to go up and the rich folks moved in. They blocked off the bike trails when they built their homes near them, complained about the usual shenanigans the adults and kids got into. Capture the flag at 9 p.m. Nope, not anymore. The Coos will get called. Then they ruined the block parties by moving them to their cul-de-sac and ending them early. No burgers cooked by drunk dads who snuck off and got stoned with the teens. No firing the cannon my granddad built. No water balloon fight. And instead of DJs, we got the joy of music from their 3 convertibles tuned to WSUK. Also, the neighbors that were cool before started becoming sycophants. Oh, and they half-funded an effort to make the lake swimmable, ruined the fishing, and never finished. So no swimming or fishing. Oh boy, do I have a lot to say about this. It's off topic for the original post, but I feel compelled to have a rant about the current state of op shops. They've been ruined by ultra-fast fashion. I didn't visit an op shop for about a year during COVID, and when I revisited my old favorite shops, most were overstocked with overpriced shine crap, because the old ladies who volunteer to sort clothes don't know just how cheap and Thai it is. The op shop where I volunteer has a long list of brands they won't resell, so at least there's no shine on the shelves, but it still gets donated, and it mostly just gets thrown away. Some will be made into rags, but a lot of the fabrics are so cheap, I doubt they're even good for that. So people are buying plastic clothes made by people who are almost certainly being exploited. Having those clothes shipped across the planet just to try them on and realize they don't fit right. They'll never fit right. Well-fitting clothes take time and money. And then, they drop them off to the op shop, which probably makes them feel like they're doing something good. But all they're doing is making someone else get rid of their trash. Instagram, when it first launched, we were content to post grainy pics of our average-looking sandwich that we made ourselves, or a mundane selfie. The background and the angle didn't matter. Studies show that since the wealthy started sharing their lives on IG, our collective standard of living changed. And it's trickled down to our influencers mimicking wealth down to average users. We're exposed to yacht parties, expertly organized and color-coded walk-in closets, high-end facials, and party-planned gender reveals. We're benchmarking our posts with professional photographers and videographers, elevating our expectations for everything. For those saying, just don't use it, it's influenced every aspect of society whether you're on it or not. Collectively, society aspires to a flashier existence. Instagram has inspired new aesthetic-forward businesses like restaurants and coffee shops, tourism, home decor and types of homes, gyms and gym bodies, fashion. Hence the rich find out about anything good. They wreck it for the rest of us. Drugs, rock and roll, internet environment. Internet was the one I was going to go with. Back when the internet was just losers who had no other place in society, everything was cool. You knew the only people online were people who genuinely wanted to be part of the community and subculture. Then the rich people found out about it, and now, it's nothing but ads, subscriptions, fees, data gathering, and rich people pretending to be hip. I'm not saying this to minimize what you went through. I'm saying it so you know you're not alone. And several generations of people had the same issue. Eternal September happened in 1993. Prior to that, the nerds had the internet to themselves. Every year some college students got access in September and stopped using it when the semester or year ended. That's the year they just stayed. The next year Geocities was founded. Over the next couple of years websites went from being mostly text and all HTML to WYSIWYG, where everyone had their own website. AOL brought even more people online, and almost everyone online started communicating with AIM. Even if you didn't want or use AOL, you had to have it to keep in touch. In 2003, the landscape changed again when MySpace took off. We all know how that ended. There's a kid out there today who has a hard time like you and I. They're finding their tribe. In a few years, something is going to come along and change things, and it's going to suck. But whoever that kid is will have a history and share our grief. They will speak our secret language of knowing the loss of a space that is ours. It's a very bittersweet feeling for me because my tribe is growing. But it's growing through the loss of something we loved. The loss of something that helped us when we were at our worst. We're from different times, but you and I share that thread. You are part of my tribe. Any hobby where there's potential profit. Now, you've got dickheads like the Logan Paul ruining Pokémon cards. Not because they're into them, because they like Pokémon, but because they read the stories about the rare cards and just hammered their endless piles of cash into getting everything. Same with those asshole sheiks with massive comic book collections. They don't give a fafk about comics. They just collect popular, valuable stuff. As a side note to this, career scalpers or resellers. The fact that you can't just wait for the release day of something and remember to buy it at some point that day or week, all because some hole is going to grab 800 copies of them for their eBay storefront, where they already have the stuff up for pre-order at 8x the original MSRP, is infuriating. As an example, to follow your Pokémon one, they had limited edition Pokémon sleeves, sold a pack of 80 for like $8. They were on eBay 3 days later. $8 for a single sleeve. $640 if they sold every sleeve at that price. All off a single $8 purchase that they hoarded dozens of actual fans of the franchise out of. Absolutely disgusting. Cheap foods, like chicharrones or tutana from Mexico. When I was a kid, tutana was something that were even gift in meats market. Now, they sell you a damn bone in meat price or even higher. The same with chichar that was really cheap to buy, but with rich people discovering how good it is, now is impossible. All places up the prices because rich people buy it at high rates, and don't know what the heck they are shopping anyway. Nerd paraphernalia like Star Wars or Marvel or DC stuff, action figures, comic books, etc. used to be just a fun hobby for kids and kids at heart. Now, it's almost totally purchased by richer, dedicated speculators solely for profit. I live close to a Lego store, and it makes me so upset to see a $60 set with under 500 pieces. I used to have huge sets for way less now. Any set that has any sort of brand on it, Marvel, DC, Harry Potter, etc. is extremely priced. The set could be an extremely simple build, and as long as it had a brand name on it, it's almost always over $50. So upsetting because they are such an easy gift to give to any kid, but now, they are barely affordable. Everything really. Mofos have more money than common sense, and jack up the prices for the rest of us. They literally destroying the environment. We're going to turn the earth into a burned out husk because the rich want more wealth points. Wicks don't actually change their standard of living whatsoever because they already have so much. So they force us to spend 8+ hours a day completing worthless tasks if we want food and shelter. As a treat, if we have some money left over, we get to buy some useless plastic that's built to break in 6 months, so we'll have to buy it again. As sounds as this logic is in a vacuum, and I'm not sure if you were trying to highlight this, is that type of thinking is extremely short-sighted for everyone involved. The person who scoffs at the $100 ticket doesn't realize that the fact that it is a car payment is a problem, but a way of life, which is wrong for them to think that is a norm. On the other hand, the person who pays $1,000 to skip the line isn't thinking about how they're impacting future prices. Both thought processes are justifiably self-centered and realistically just human nature. Hence where more dollars than cents kicks in. Because yes, for 99% of us, we move along with the problems, and our selfish thoughts don't hurt anyone because we move along in this example, whereas the person who affords to skip the line instead of just waiting will cause the price to go up. This is the proverbial drain in capitalism. As richer people pay more for more exclusive privileges, the businesses raise their prices to capitalize on those who bring in money. This, in turn, upsets and prices out those who would have enjoyed the event and could have brought even more money through pennies of profit over time. Beaches over development, they faff it up every damn time. Rich people have ruined a lot of things in California, but one thing I love about the state is that you cannot own the beaches. Every beach is public access. No trashy fences blocking off sections of private beach access like in Florida. I have learned a few things after positing my comment. First, Florida has a similar law to California, but some resort owners abuse a loophole where they put up fences in private property and force people to pay if they want to pass through. Is this legal under Florida law? I don't know. I'm not an expert. From what Floridians are saying, this is a fairly uncommon practice. Thank you to all who replied. I learned a decent amount about beach access laws and loopholes. Ultimately, I hope wherever you live, you can fight against legislation seeking to block public access to your beaches. Everyone should have the right to enjoy the coasts along this beautiful country. My hometown, a lot of the longtime locals here are working class, and it used to have a bigger sense of community. In the recent decade, rich people have decided that it's a cute small town with pretty scenery to buy a second home to rent out to other rich people who want to visit. Many of the longtime residents here are struggling to find homes. Meanwhile, rich people who just discovered this small town can easily buy a home or rent an overpriced Airbnb. Literally disgusting here now. Where do I start rural living? They keep migrating like locusts and devouring all the woods and land. How many yogurt shops and fancy neighborhoods do these need? Also, Aldi. I don't shop there anymore. I liked it better back in the day when it wasn't fancy, aisles narrow, and other poor or frugal people were shopping. Now, the live laugh loves are in there with no sense of personal space. Watch out when the spiral hams are on sale. I think we covered thrifting, housing, and cheap eats. I hope they never think beans and rice are trendy. Those are my staples. I also hate that they are now into prepping, survival too. I think they were the ones crazy buying TP, because poor people already know how to shop sensibly and keep a working pantry. I learned from my grandparents who lived during the Depression. The middle-class family's ability to live comfortably on a single wage. The middle-class family's ability to live comfortably on 2 wages. I started living on my own in 2015. I used to be able to feed myself for $60 a month while renting an apartment for $650 a month. Then I take a step up, get a job that's paying a little more an hour, and I think I'ma be okay. maybe set some money to the side and be able to buy a house one day. But then there is a shortage of this and that, and suddenly my pay increase is being eaten by those things. Rinse and repeat. Now in 2022 I'm renting a home with my husband for $1,800 a month. The going rate in our area and groceries for about $300 a month. The economies and well-being of natives of a crap ton of islands. I'm talking Hawaii, places in the Caribbean, etc., becoming economically dependent on tourist culture that is created and ultimately profited on by rich foreigners sucks. People can argue about whether or not their trip to these places are helping the economy or not, but what's undeniable is that the people creating these tourist economies don't give a single about the natives as they bulldoze through sacred sites and native neighborhoods in order to hand out culturally inaccurate hula skirts at 3-star hotels. Upper middle class people who spend too much time watching flip or flop, and every home on the market has to be newly renovated now. There are no cheap fixer-uppers anymore in decent areas. I almost bought a house like this. The house was beautiful. I noticed little things like a loose post on the deck and a crooked bathroom sink fixture that just made me uneasy. My wife and real estate agent brushed it off. But the home inspection termites, bad wiring that would be expensive to replace, among other things. We canceled the sale. Always get a home inspection. Man, I'm literally putting in an offer today on the opposite house than my realtor recommended. He wants me to buy a move-in ready one that's been completely gutted and remodeled, but still has signs of foundation issues, miswirings, and a broken faucet, not to mention poorly maintained AC, heating and water heater, all on their last legs. I'm bidding on one that's had the foundation and plumbing entirely redone, a very thorough roof inspection, has all new wiring, high efficiency AC and heating, but yes, needs new carpets and didn't repatch a few wall cracks after the foundation work for $60,000 less than property A. He argues A is really cheaper because B needs $60,000 worth of work to be move-in ready. When I asked, he defined it as removing walls to create an open floor plan, also the new carpet or flooring and repainting the entire inside, which the wall paint looks fine by me. I told him we have significantly different ideas of what a house needs to have to be livable. My town has a good swim team, but once a kid showed up at a swim meet wearing a stupid expensive racing suit. Kid had an older sister who swam more competitive, and parents accidentally bought the fancy swimsuit too small, gave it to the younger kid. Of course, at their level, the slight difference in water dynamics isn't going to impact their times a lot, but it's intimidating to the other kids competing, and parents were themselves thinking, that's gonna be the new standard. So the coaches decided to take a stand and ban sports gear above a certain price point in the kids' divisions. I think more sports would benefit from keeping the kids' divisions more accessible and less competitive. You gotta let kids play sports without the pressure of going pro. Specifically, school sports. Everyone showed up with a glove, and that's it. Most of us had cleats, and some of the kids had their own sweet bat, but it was okay. The coach had a bag of generic bats and ill-fitting helmets for everyone to use. Nobody cared because we all had a blast smacking big league chew and playing like in the hot summers. I don't know a single person who went on to play baseball at a professional level. When my daughter was younger, she played t-ball during a fall ball season, shortened, less formal baseball season in the fall. At the adjacent fields they had some machine pitch games going. Almost every kid in the league had a huge travel bag with a couple of bats, helmet, and more gear than is necessary for anyone not playing at a collegiate level. I truly hate how professional youth sports has become.